Taiwan's Deputy Foreign Minister has warned that a Chinese invasion would allow Xi Jinping to use the territory's computer chip industry to, and I'm quoting, rule the world. It's an extraordinary claim, but is it accurate? Joining me now is foreign editor at The Australian, Greg Sheridan. Greg, the Deputy Foreign Minister compared a Chinese takeover of Taiwan to Hitler's conquest of Czechoslovakia that gave the Nazis the weapons manufacturing capability to dominate battlefields in Europe. Is it a fair comparison?
Well, James, great to be with you. Look, in one way it is, in one way it isn't. Nobody could be more reasonably critical of the People's Republic of China than I am, but they are not, at this stage, Nazi Germany. They are very, very nasty, tough, autocratic, horrible dictatorship domestically, and they are pretty aggressive internationally, but they don't have a history of invading foreign nations in the way that Nazi Germany did. However, the second half of the comparison is valid. The strategic result of Beijing taking control of Taiwan would be enormous. The chip industry is one part of it, but the other part of it is just the sheer physical location of Taiwan. This would chase the Americans back out of our part of the Pacific. It would threaten Japan. It would allow Beijing to project military power across the Pacific. It would terrify Southeast Asia. It would probably lead to Beijing getting military base in the South Pacific. It would be absolutely diabolical for us, so these sort of smart aleck anti-Americans around the place who say it's nothing to do with us, well, that's just crazy. I mean, the first day of any conflict between China and the US, our trade with China stops anyway, so that's it. And then the strategic consequences for us would be terrible, and for the whole world.
Well, meanwhile, Taiwan's deputy trade negotiator has said the island holds no hope of being admitted to the 12-nation Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement, while Australia is chairing the group. He said Taiwan had received silence from Australia on their bid to join, and that was because the Australian government had well and truly shown its intention not to do anything to upset Beijing. What do you make of those claims? And if they're true, is the Albanese government right to play coy on Taiwan?
Well, I think those claims broadly are true. The Albanese government now never says boo to a goose about China. So the PRC people were lecturing us for having the effrontery to grant political asylum to a Hong Kong democratic politician who would have been jailed at best had we allowed him to be forcibly returned to the PRC. But Albanese wasn't out there like he is, anything the Americans say. He jumps up saying, hey, we're a sovereign nation, we'll make our own decisions. Nothing like that when China bosses us around. An earlier Australian government did midwife the entry of the People's Republic of China and Taiwan and Hong Kong simultaneously into APEC. Now, it would probably be a bit hard to put Taiwan into the TPP and keep the PRC out of it, but certainly you should, China wants to join as well. You should never countenance China joining that group, probably under any circumstances, but certainly never while you keep Taiwan out. And Australia, like other nations, should do its own free trade agreement with Taiwan anyway. I mean, this is a government of utter poltroons and amateurs in foreign policy. They strut and declare and preen and so on about the Middle East because they have absolutely no power there, so it doesn't matter what they say. But in areas where it really counts, they are smaller than the smallest mouse.
Well, speaking of their policy on the Middle East, the Israeli MP blocked from travelling to Australia has spoken out on his visa cancellation. The government said they blocked Rothman's visa because his calls for Hamas to be destroyed and for the rejection of a two-state solution were divisive and would stir up hate in this country. But speaking at an online event organised by the Australian Jewish Association on Sunday, Rothman said, and I'm quoting, they're outlawing basically the views of the State of Israel and of most of the Jewish people. Do you agree with that critique? And I should add that the Albanese government also said they denied Rothman a visa because he called Gazan children the enemy, although he says he was misquoted on that.
Yes, no, I don't agree with Rothman. I think denying him a visa was excessive and is a matter of double standards. But he does not represent the views of the majority of Israelis. He is in a political party which gets quite a small percentage of Israeli votes, and he and his party have expressed views which the majority of Israelis disagree with, and the majority of Australians, if they ever think of the matter, would surely disagree with. I think the government made a mistake in denying his visa. I think they're happy to beat up on Israel. I'd never say boo to Beijing, and Israel is our traditional ally. But I think it's quite wrong for this fellow to claim that he represents the majority view of the Israelis. He certainly doesn't.